بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. How are you friend again? In this video, before the previous video, we talk about the LOA letter of award, and we mention all the detail about what included in the LOA. Today in this video, inshallah, we'll go through the more detail for LOA to be clear for everyone, inshallah. So let's go. In the letters of award, it's included 12 points. In this video, inshallah, we will mention more detail about 5 points and keep 7 points for the next video, inshallah. First of all, the letter ahead, which it mentions the LOA details, the description for the letter like this. First of all, here we have to talk about the employer detail, telephone number, fax number, box number, anything related to the employer for this project. We talk about LOA for construction, يعني letter of award for project construction work. So we'll mention the reference for this letter. Date for this letter is very important. Contractor name and details for the contractor. Attention to Mr. The main person, GM or any main person for the contractor. Project name, the detail for the project name, description, and the subject is LOA, letter of award. Dear sir, on behalf of, we'll mention here the names of the employer, we would like to thank you for submittal your final offer date, and we'll mention the date for the submittal for final offer or revised offer from the contractor. And hereby award you the design and the construction of. So here is the description for the project details. Maybe is a word for construction, maybe is a word for design, maybe a word for any maintenance work, any remedy work, any description for the project. It should be clear here, and we'll mention the name of the project as a designer in the as a describe it in the LOA. And its attachment and the tender document. Yani all of this which is related to describe it in the LOA and the attachment of the LOA. What is the attachment with the LOA? Is the tender document. Anything related to specification, related to the soil report, related to drawing, project drawing, any another issue which is usually mentioned in the tender document, and its attachment our tender document, and any other applicable document. This in general issued by the employer. Yani any letters or any important document issued from the employer to the contractor. Here this statement it covers this one. So it's related here to the LOA plus any applicable document issued by the employer. Pursuant to our review of your offer and tender document, the employer is pleased to confirm that subject to the term of these conditions of this LOA. Okay, yani this confirmation is subject to, is related to the term and the conditions mentioned in the letter of award. Shall be awarded to the contractor for the work unless the employer confirm otherwise in written. Yani all of this is related to the LOA, letter of award, unless another issue related or mentioned from the employer in the next stage or in the future. The profession of this LOA shall be valid until 60 days. This is very important. The duration of the valid of LOA should be mentioned, because usually you make letter of award first, then in the next stage you continue to finalize the contract agreement. So you have to confirm the duration for letter of award to be clear in this stage or in this duration to be finalized, and agreement for all the conditions and the detail for contract agreement between all the parties. So it's mentioned here the provision of this LOA shall be valid until 60 days. Sometimes in another project make it 30 days, sometimes make it 90 days, but in general it's make 60 days. It's too much enough to finalize the contract agreement between all the parties. And this LOA, it will be valid as a contract agreement until finalized the contract agreement details. From the date of LOA, يعني this means the 60 days from the date of LOA, which we mentioned in the first here, we mentioned the date of LOA letter. طيب, now we will go through the description detail which should be mentioned in the letter of award. First of all, and the important issue is the scope of the work. Scope of the work. Descriptions, detail, clear for the scope of the work. It should be mentioned here in this statement. The contract shall carry out the, we'll mention here the description for the job or for the responsibility for the contractor, main contractor. Here, like example, works, remedy, and defective relative thereto, and hand over the work to the employer. يعني all the responsibility for the work, for the remedy work, for the remedy defective relating to handing over of the work to the employer in accordance with the LOA and tender document, and later on for a contract agreement. So this is the scope of the work description for the detail included in the project. Number two, we have to mention accepted contract amount. يعني first of all, scope of the work, details about the description of the work. Second, how much is this amount for the scope of the work, and how much is this amount for the contract agreement or for the LOA. So we have to mention in this accepted contract amount, subject to contract's successful completion of the work, and in accordance with the requirement of this LOA, the employer shall pay to the contractor the total amount, and we'll mention here the total amount of the project. يعني the employer shall pay the contract if this total amount, and condition may be lump sum as a total amount for the project. Maybe it will be remeasurable quantity, but it should be mentioned here the amount for this contract it will be done. Number three is a commencement date, programs of the work. Commencement date, this is very important to the project. يعني what is the commencement date? Sometimes we take this date for the letter of award as a commencement date for the project. Sometimes maybe take the demarcation site plan or building permit as a commencement date. This is depend on the agreement between the parties. So here it's mentioned the contract shall commence the work on date, and will mention here the commencement date, and such date shall be deemed to be the commencement date of the work. The commencement date as defined under this LOA shall be deemed to be the commencement date under the contract agreement. يعني in this project it's respect the commencement date as for the letter of award is the commencement date for the total project. Like I said and explained, it's depend on the agreement under the contract agreement. The contract shall complete the work as per the program of the work, satisfaction to the employer in accordance with the time completion stated below. This is general descriptions about the time frame for the project, which should be as a baseline to start the work and to start arrangement the program of the work. A description here, we will mention clear description for the job, for the project. It should be clear description. And we'll mention here the time for completion, يعني how many days we agreed to be finalized this description of the work from the date of commencement. يعني we can mention here 1 year, 365 days from the date of commencement. Then we'll mention here defect notification. This is the duration for responsibility of the contractor for the maintenance work for this work. It should be mentioned here also from the date of completion the work or from the date for commencement the work. Delay damages, here it's mentioned يعني how much cost per day for any delay for the duration above this duration which we agree for time of completion. So this is the descriptions for commencement and the program of the work. It should be included and it should be clear in the letter of award. This is number 3. Let's go to number 4. Number 4, it mentions the contract agreement. Prior to the expire on this LOA contract shall be executed between all the parties. يعني this means in the contract agreement it should be agreed and it should be done within the duration like we mentioned before, 60 days from the date of commencement date, which we will follow letter of award. Number 5, it mentions the payment terms. Payment terms. Payment in respect of this work shall be made by the employer to the contractor. This is the payment. It should be done by the employer to the contractor, and the terms of this payment. يعني how much payment I have to pay and when. In accordance with the condition of the contract agreement, the maximum amount to be paid to the contract under this LOA shall not be exceed on amount 10%. This is important because sometimes we have to pay from the employer some amount to the main contractor until finalized the contract agreement. So we have to make conclusion and confirm how much exactly is amount for the LOA we can pay. It can be from the employer to the main contractor. Here we mentioned 10% should be accepted amount as advance payment or as any payment. It should be done not more than 10% for the letter of award for the from the total amount of the contract agreement. So we stop now in this video until point number 5. Inshallah, next video will complete the 7-point balance. Thanks my dear and goodbye.